People talk a lot about how difficult it is to make friends in South Korea. If you're a foreigner moving to a new country, that sense of alienation is practically a rite of passage. I get it. I deeply understand that feeling because even though I have the physical looks and a high understanding of the unspoken etiquette and mannerisms here, I was raised in South America. When I returned to Korea at 36, I realized something jarring. If you look at the news right now, everyone is talking about Koreans' silent epidemic of loneliness. The headlines point out that 1 out of every 2 households in Seoul now has only one occupant, and more than half of them are suffering from deep isolation. But as someone who is ethnically Korean but culturally an outsider, I see a nuance that the news anchors miss. Some people look at the difficulty of integrating here and call it discrimination. I don't think it's discrimination per se. It's just that when a historically homogeneous society sees someone who operates differently, it naturally raises a collective scrutiny. The world has become hyper-globalized. We are incredibly good at doing business together, but actually sitting together, sharing the same rooms, or truly connecting as co-workers, that is still a rare, fragile thing in many parts of the world. And Korea is no exception. The hardest part of integrating into Korea as an adult returnee isn't the etiquette, it's the complete lack of historical context. I don't have the luxury of local roots. I don't know what it feels like to have an extended network of related family members, uncles, aunts, or cousins, just a train ride away. I don't know the feeling of grabbing a spontaneous dinner with an old pal from grade school, what Koreans call a dongchang. This cultural gap is exactly why the loneliness epidemic is hitting locals just as hard as immigrants. The cultural values here have shifted dramatically away from the traditional family-first collective toward an extreme, hyper-technological individualism. The news reports that over 5% of young adults in this country are now considered completely socially isolated. Every year, thousands of people suffer godoksa, dying completely alone. The government is so alarmed that they've declared loneliness a public health risk, investing nearly 280 million euros into helplines and community spaces. But can a government-funded center really replace a dongchang or a family? So how do you actually survive and build a life here? Ironically, the same technology that isolates people is what we have to use to find each other. The news mentions that young people are turning to online messaging apps and reselling platforms to organize casual meetups and play playground games. And it's true. There are amazing ways to connect with locals using digital platforms like Carrot or Neighbor Cafe. But let's be entirely honest. The ultimate gatekeeper will always be the language. Even though a vast majority of young and middle-aged Koreans understand English, it is not the common tongue of daily life. If you want a real connection, it is ultra important to speak Korean at a conversational level. And even when you do, expect some friction. Different parts of the world cultivate entirely different types of social behavior. Something that strikes a foreigner as perfectly normal might feel incredibly odd to a local, and vice versa. Try your absolute best to assimilate into the specific Korean communities that share your core values. I'm not telling you to change your identity or erase who you are. It's about truly immersing yourself into a different world. While there are international human values that we all share, the subtle nuances vary wildly. A social boundary that feels like a violation of personal freedom in the West might just look like a minor insensitivity in Korea, and vice versa. If you are thinking about living in Korea for the long run, trust me, it will be a beautifully unique, fun experience. But it won't always be easy, yet it won't be forever hard either. Being an immigrant is simply that. It is never easy. You will often feel like you don't entirely belong. But here's the perspective that saved me. Just because you don't feel like you fully belong, it doesn't mean that you are out of place. The most important part of the journey is to feel the hardship, digest it with a kind of patient soul, and just learn to enjoy the breeze that goes with it. Just because it's hot right now, it doesn't mean it won't ever get cold. And just because a few people don't click with you, it doesn't mean you don't have your own kind waiting out there. As an insider outsider, I deeply encourage my fellow Koreans to step onto a path of open-mindedness and seek a true internal freedom. This doesn't mean breaking our beautiful culture or throwing away our behavior. It's about deeply connecting with oneself and realizing how that self-reflection allows us to connect with others on a global stage. Have you ever dreamed of becoming an immigrant? Are you interested in moving to South Korea, or are you already here navigating these same walls? Let me know your thoughts and your stories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.